Hello and welcome back to my channel. Belinda here. This is a second video for today. I won't be airing probably until Friday because I need to film ahead for Friday. And I've already done a video today which I did on the Cafe Flowers journal, and I turned the video off, and while it was uploading and stuff like that I carried on working in the journal. So it's looking already a little bit different to when you last saw it. But I'm going to make something for the journal now which I haven't done on camera yet, and it's a trifold journal card. The idea came from Gayle Agostinelli, and I just really love the effect of those. So let's crack on into it. I need a 12 by 12 piece of paper. Well, I guess you could use other paper, but I'm using 12 by 12, and one sheet of paper will make two of these. I only want one. I've chosen this bit of paper here with this, hopefully you can see it in camera, yep you can, with this motif down the bottom, which I think is rather lovely. And in case I haven't shown it before, the paper I'm using for this, this journal is called Brewtiful from CraftSmart. I don't even know where I picked this up. I definitely didn't buy it at a shop because I don't buy scrapbook paper. I find it super expensive. So I pick it up from people who are destashing primarily, or on sale somewhere. So I think this is someone who is on selling their supplies. But that's what it is anyway, in case it is still out there. So I'm going to just move this top half away. That's not the bit that I want for this project. I just want this bottom bit. So I've cut it in half so that I've got this motif down the bottom, and now I need to score it. So grab my score tool and line it up. Hopefully this will show in camera. I'm just doing a recheck. Yep, all looks good. Cool. So I need to score this at 2, 4, 6 and 8. So 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches and 8 inches. So just running my score tool down the markings for those measurements. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Quite easy to remember. And I really want to add after that, who do we appreciate? Like so. Now if you don't have a scoreboard, then just mark it out, mark it out and fold it as you will. I for the longest time didn't have a scoreboard, and you can still do everything. It just might take a bit longer or have not quite the same results. Okay, so we've ended up with 5 sections. So 4 sections at 2 inches each, and then a larger section which I think is 4 inches. I'll just double check my measurements. Yeah, 4 inches. So the 4-inch piece is going to be the base. So if you want to do it the other way round, so that the base is on the other side, then flip your paper around and score that way. I didn't mind which way mine came out, so I just went ahead and did the scoring. I'm just going to now concertina the folds backwards and forwards. I've got rubbings from where I rubbed out my pencil mark from cutting the paper. It must be all over my craft mat. It keeps picking up on the paper. So it's everywhere. I'll just give it a brush off, see if I can get rid of this stuff. This does work as a standalone video for the making of this trifold journal card. So if you haven't watched my other video from this morning yet, which will air the day I'm filming this, which is Monday, if you haven't seen that, it's fine. This is for that journal, but a standalone project in its own right, really. Yeah, so now it's all nicely folded and it's a concertina, like so. This is a journal card I was going to say it doesn't get stuck in, but journal cards do not get stuck in. So get my head right. That we clip into the journal. So rather than putting it in a pocket or anything, although you could, we put a little band around it and clip it in so it can be taken out, opened up, written on, and then tucked back in the paper clip. You can stick it down, and I have stuck it down previously, but you have to think about how you're going to keep it closed, because it does tend to spring open, and when you're flipping pages, if it's not secured with a tie, then it will just flop open every time you open the journal. Okay, so I am going to round the corners. You don't have to round the corners, but I happen to like that look. Now, do I want to do all of the corners? No, I think I'm just going to do those two. I have done all the corners before, but in this case I think I'll just leave it. Now, because I'm distressing everything in this journal, I am going to just take a moment to distress the edge. Feel free to fast forward or just carry on with your own project while I'm doing this inking, because I know it's not super exciting for you guys. So I'm doing the peaks as well, and I'll do the valleys. So that's the valley is where it folds down, and I'm just going to fold it back the other way and ink that. And that's a trick I learned from Gayle as well, and I think it's cool. And because this is sectioned, I like the way it highlights those sections. Now, I've chosen this paper not only because of the decoration down the bottom, but also I don't need to cover these sections with writing paper because it's really nice and pale. There's still a bit of colour and texture in it from the scrapbook paper to give interest, so it works perfectly well as is. But on the back it is white. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is ink the edges and get rid of that white, well, some of it anyway, give it a border. Now, if you don't mind white, that's fine, you can absolutely leave it as is. One day I might challenge myself to do a white journal. The idea actually really appeals, so you wouldn't bother inking or getting rid of white, you'd utilise the white. I think it would be a challenge. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing here. I'm going to do the peaks and the valleys, which is what folds are called. So if it folds down away from you, it's a valley. When it folds towards you, it's a peak. Okay, if you haven't come across that terminology before. Okay, so already that's looking a bit more interesting. But the next step is, and this is totally optional if you don't want to, if you, like I said, if you like the white, is just leave it like that as is. But I don't want to. I really like the effect of putting paper in these spots. So I'm going to use this coffee dyed grid paper, and I need each of these segments is 2 by 6 inches. Yes, my measurements are okay. So I'm going to go about 1 and what is that? I'm trying to think what it is in inches, something 16ths. The one before the 2 anyway, or it might be an 1/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7/8. 1 and 7/8 inches. I'm just going to write that down, otherwise I'll forget. 1 and 7/8 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, so that's my measurements that I want. If you want to cover it in paper, then you choose what measurements you want, and it will depend how closely it is to the 2x6. If it's a little bit smaller or bigger, then you'll want to adjust your measurements. So firstly, I think I want to do my 5 1/4. Uh, 5 1/4 or 5 3/4? 5 3/4. Oops, almost made a big mistake there. Right, 5 3/4 is what I want, which takes me to, now I'm just going to tear this, takes me to about there. Hopefully that's correct, we'll soon find out. So I'm just tearing against the ruler. I like metal rulers for this, for tearing. It just makes life so much easier. Okay, now I'm going to see if 1 7/8 will line up nicely on my mat here. Not really. Okay, so I'll just move that out of the way for a moment. So I'm just going to mark 1 7/8. So it's just before that line there, and I'm just going to eyeball that. Oops. Get it straight, hopefully. It's not the end of the world if it's not straight. I've given myself a little bit of wiggle room, so it just will be a little off once I glue down if I've got it wrong, and that's okay. Out there. So this is completely eyeballing it. Yep. Using, that's helpful that I've got a grid line on the paper that I'm using, so I can line it up against the grid lines on the paper. Super handy. So there's a little tip for you if you want to make things easy. Choose some grid paper to start with. It's just a smidge over that line. So I want 4 at this size. I've got, no, 1 2 3. Yeah, I need one more. And you could use scrapbook paper or note paper or whatever paper you want for this. And I'm just going to double check that it fits. And it fits perfectly. Cool. Okay, and I need one more piece for the back. So I'm just going to lay that on there and tear it. And I've got a nice little strip there for stamping on or something else. So I'll just pop that aside as well. Okay. Now I do want to go ahead and ink these, so I'll just pop you on pause while I ink them so you don't have to watch me go through that again. So be back in a sec. Okay, I'm back and I've inked around all these pieces, so now it's time to glue them down. So again, I know gluing is not particularly thrilling, but it's part of the process. So I'm using glue stick, my favourite glue stick, Amos brand. My husband bought me a couple of new ones, so that was super cool because I did run out of my other one, the one that's had been holding out for a little while. Finally used it up. But I have discovered that it's actually cheaper to buy the smaller ones than buy the bigger one, unless the bigger one's on special. So that was interesting when I did a comparison. I do like the bigger ones though, they just seem to actually last longer. Longer than what the additional size would say they would last. So I don't know, maybe it's psychological, or maybe I just forget, or maybe it's just that I don't use it as much sometimes. Anyway, just waffling on. Oops, I got a bit of a glue gouge there. I'm looking for my tissue. Where'd I put my tissue? I put it in the rubbish. That was silly. Get off that glue, extra bit of glue. So we had a hailstorm earlier in between my last video and this one. Wasn't much of one. It was quite small hail, came in bands, but the temperature dropped a little bit when it came through. I was standing out on the deck watching the hail. I thought I might take a photo, but it really wasn't enough of it to bother. And when I came back in, it was still hailing, and Snuggles, our second youngest cat, was sitting staring at the ceiling. Obviously she could hear the hail and was just like curious, although she's been through hailstorms before, much worse ones, big hail. So yeah, I'm surprised that she was curious about it. It's getting a bit sticky, so I'm just going to get rid of that now. And our youngest one, the kitten, hasn't been through hail before, but he was in the cat bed behind the curtain, so I don't know what he thought of it all. We have to wait for the next one and see if he's visible, see what he does. There's lots of roads closed around the South Island now due to the snow that's fallen in lots of areas in the higher places. Doesn't affect where I am. Would if I was travelling, you know, going away on holiday or something, but doesn't affect us where we are. I would love to go see some snow though. I haven't had snow around for ages. And the last time it snowed to any great degree here in Amberley was 20 years ago. No, not quite. 1994 or 3. So almost 20 years ago. So very rare occurrence here where I live. Okay, so I'm just going to fold that back up like so. So now we've got our, whoops, that glue's still a bit wet obviously. Got a bit, just give it a rub. I think that's transference from my glue book page. Okay, so we've got cool writing space all along here and all on the back. Super cool. I might do a bit of stamping on that, but I haven't pulled any stamps out to play with, so I'll save that for off camera. Now I do want to do a closure for this, and I had a thought just as I was inking the edges off camera, is I've got this strip here from out of the paper pack, and it's border strips, and there's circles, which happy I discovered the circle punch I got given, the 1 3/4 inch, perfectly works to cut these out. It's the perfect size to cut around the dotted edge of those little emblems, so I've already used one inside the journal. And I was wondering about using one of these strips to do the closure for the journal, for the journal card. That's what I meant. I'll just move this stuff out the way, and wondering what, quite like the macarons, they're quite cute, or maybe this top strip. This strip might be nice, and that means I'm not sort of cutting into it. Now I'm going to have to turn my craft mat around because the paper is too tall to fit the other way. So I'm just going to use my craft knife, lining up as best as I can the edge of the strip on my ruler, and hope for the best. Cool. Right, now I'm just going to flip this back around the right way, like so. Pop that out the way. And yeah, I think I said I've never done this way before, so I'm hoping it's going to work. So first, I don't know why it wouldn't work, but crease that there. Hopefully that was straight. And is that going to slide off? Might need to give it a little bit more room. Don't want to give it too much room because then it's not actually going to stay in place. I want it to be loose enough to slide on and off. So I think that's fine. I'm going to trim off that excess. Nice little strip there for making clusters with. Right. Thinking about whether I can round those corners. Might be too... I'm going to give it a go. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Yeah, no, it will work. I thought it might not be wide enough to actually work properly and that it would give a funny pointed end or something. But no, it worked fine, just getting rid of those bits. So we've ended up with this little curved. Look, I've got inky, gluey fingers. Right, speaking of ink, you know I've got to ink this up. And the back as well, because this is going to be just clipped in. That bit didn't really need to be done, but never mind, it's only a tiny wee bit. And I might even do those folds there, just because. There we go. Right, now I'm just going to double check. And I'm just going to glue that two ends together. So it goes to just by that blue coffee jug. Top off the glue. And I'm going to slide it out in case I end up gluing it to my journal card. Would not be ideal. Trying to make sure it's straight. And I really like the idea, which just occurred to me, of putting a little gem or something there. I haven't got them out, so I will do that off camera as well, unless I pause here and go find them, which I might do. Bear with me a moment, I'm just going to go find my gems. Okay, I'm back again. I knew exactly where they were, so it wasn't hard. I just had to go to another room. Right, tealy colour, nope. Black, red, green. So I'm just going to look for a colour I might like. That will work with the journal. I've got self-adhesive ones and I've got ones that need gluing. A bit small, I think. Got these sparkly ones. That's kind of pretty. Maybe I could go pink. Maybe that's a bit too... need to pull it out, I think. That's pretty as well. Not those. That's quite pretty as well. Sorry, I'm going to torture you now by being indecisive on what gem I want to use. Quite like the blue as well. Definitely not the green. And that one, which is kind of a black and silver, is quite pretty as well. I think I like the other ones better. No, don't like those for this. Some pale blue ones. Probably you can't see these through the cellophane anyway with the glare. Don't like the clear ones. That one's quite nice. The pale blue. Yep, I'm going to use the pale blue. Now that I've got a mess on my desk, put the unopened ones back in and sort the others out later. And yeah, just want one of those pale blue ones. And it's just what I preferred. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on that just to make sure it sticks, because these are quite old. So I'm not sure how well the adhesive would work long term. So I'm just going to add a bit of my premium craft glue that's really good for things like lace, and once I get rid of the glue that's dried on top, then it's not letting the glue come out. Right, should be all good now. Yep, just to make sure it stays in place. Oops. Yeah, it was a fumble, that was. There, that's pretty. I like that. Super cool. Okay, so that's just going to slide on there. And wiggle it into place. Gosh, I feel all thumbs and fingers. Right, there we go. And I do like the idea of altering a paper clip to clip it into the journal. These are paper clips I picked up last week when a friend took me out, and super lovely friend. You know who you are, my dear. I bought these ones, and then on the way out of the shop I saw these ones, or the way up to the counter, and I didn't really want to buy both with the money I had available, and my friend picked these up, and I thought, oh yeah, she likes them, she wants those. And then when she dropped me back at my husband's work, she gave them to me. So I felt super blessed. It was a great day out, had lots of fun, and it was a good time catching up. So I might alter that paper clip, make it a more decorative, so that when it clips into the journal it's a bit more exciting, or I might just tie some lace or something to the top. So that is a Trifold journal card. They are super easy. They're quick, they're satisfying, they're interactive, they're decorative, they're useful. I mean, what more could you want in something in your journal? Just super fun. And very practical, in fact. So I'm going to call it quits for this video, and I'm going to keep on working in the journal for as much as I can, because I need to get it done, and I'll give you updates along the way. So thanks for joining me for this video. It will show on Friday, but there'll be other videos between these two sessions that I've done today. So have a great weekend. Since you're seeing this on Friday, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.